More details emerge from the negotiations between Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays. Hey everyone, and welcome into Long Ball. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Blue Jays writer Rob Longley, who joins me from Dunedin, Florida, where spring training continues. But Rob, all the talk right now has been about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays contract negotiations. I know I was wondering if these numbers would ever get out there, what Vladdy and the Blue Jays were discussing just before spring training, and according to various reports, we now have a pretty good idea of what was going on. The Blue Jays offering Vlad somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 million, with deferrals putting the present day value at approximately $450, while Vlad just wanted $500 straight up. So there's about a $50 million gap between the two sides, and as we know, nothing ended up getting done and talks have halted. But firstly, Rob, are you surprised at all that the numbers have gotten leaked? And secondly, who benefits from this being out there?
Yeah, Rob, it's a story that keeps on giving, and I think it'll continue to keep on giving all season long. Who benefits from it initially? It's in my opinion, probably the Blue Jays. And I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers were coming from their side. Certainly since the negotiations fell apart at the start of training camp here, the heat has come on the front office. They've been sort of the ones that have been victimized in this whole mess, and fan outrage has been at a high. So I think it probably behooves them to sort of get the number out there and see if they can change some of that court of public opinion back to their side. And certainly when it comes out that they're offered, they're willing to pay $500 million even with deferrals, I think there would be a certain contingent of the fan base that would be sympathetic to the Jays in this instance, because $500 million is an obscene amount of money. Now, where does it go from here? I think that's the interesting question, because in a lot of ways, $50 million over, let's say, 14 years isn't a whole lot of money. So are we at the point where there's motivation from either side to get a deal done, or is this just posturing?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how people have reacted. As you said, maybe it's a case where the Blue Jays are trying to sway the narrative back towards their side, but the number is pretty outrageous, considering if you look at the total value of the contract, it would be, I guess, one of the three highest deals in the history of the sport. So it's pretty clear that the Blue Jays have at least reportedly made a pretty significant offer to Vladdy. But, when you look at where this is trending, I think that's where a lot of people are wondering now that seemingly the cards have all been put on the table. We know Vladdy's been doing a lot of talking to different outlets this spring, and the Blue Jays have remained pretty quiet. Is this a situation where maybe something could get done before opening day? We do remember Vladdy said that he'd be open to talking again if the Blue Jays came with a realistic offer. So is it still possible that these two sides could agree to something before the season actually begins?
I suppose it is, Rob, and essentially we're down to 2 weeks to get that done. We're just outside of 2 weeks until opening day. I suppose it's a possibility, but I really wonder if there's a willingness from either side. Again, going back to the word posturing, the Jays got their number out there. I mean, how much they were willing to pay. Vladdy has said how much he wants, but Vladdy has made it pretty clear all the way along that he seems quite content to head off into free agency. I think he's more than willing to bet on himself having a huge year, and he's more than willing to bet on the fact that even if he just has a good year, that he's probably going to get that amount of money in free agency next year anyway. So from his perspective, it's a good bet to take. All along I've questioned the Jays' willingness to sign him to a long-term deal, because they've essentially put themselves in this situation by allowing it to get this long. And why is that? I mean, have they negotiated in good faith for years? Were they too late in trying to get him under contract? Were they too soured by those off years in 2022 and 2023 to negotiate a longer term deal before last season? I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of motivation, it would seem anyway, to get a long term deal done in the past, which is why we're in the situation that we're in right now. And it could be as simple as neither side is really willing to bend at this point. So if that's the case, and the Vladdy camp believes that it holds all the cards, which is certainly the way they've been behaving all along, then it's incumbent upon the Jays to make that offer that satisfies him. And I'm not so sure that I see that happening.
Well, we know Vladdy has said he did want to negotiate during the season to not be a distraction to his teammates. But considering we haven't even started the season yet and we've talked about it this much, it's going to be nonstop, especially with some of the stops for the Blue Jays at the beginning of the season, whether it's Boston, New York, a lot of teams that their fan bases anyways are very interested in Vlad's services maybe heading into next
They're in
offseason.
Boston and New York in the first month of the season. Like, how crazy is that going to be? They may as well take a circus tent with them for both of those road trips, really.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. And as you said, I mean, we're going to be talking about this for quite a long time until there's a resolution one way or another. But as always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Rob Longley, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.